Welcome back, it's Smashboss here, and this is my first video with over 1000 subscribers, which is really an amount that I never expected to reach when I started this channel, and that's why I want to thank you all for helping me to get all the way to 1000 subscribers and even further. So for this video, first, I want to announce a new troll level for Carl Sagan 42. So just so you don't worry, I did not stop to make troll levels. And actually the glitch that I want to showcase in this video has to do with the troll level. I didn't make a trailer for this level since in the last trailers there were always comments that told me not to make trailers since the trailers ruin the level. And I can understand that, so I don't make an entire trailer this time. I will just show a preview picture of the level at the end of the video. And the only spoiler that I give is that the level will contain one troll that uses the setup that I will explain now. And this one is a new setup that has to do with stack flipping. And the interesting thing about this one is that you can precisely control the position of an enemy that is floating in mid-air. In this case you can control the height in which this enemy, this launcher right here, will float above the ground. And the way it works is not that easy, but once you get it, it's actually one of the best stack flipping setups I think that I found. So right here, this is just normal stack flipping stuff. These items on top don't have to be launchers, they can also be munchers, but you can manipulate it way better with launchers. I will explain why soon. So then these ones have to be launchers as far as I know. And finally you need one block of free space under the launcher down here, and then you need to place a muncher. So basically that's all you need. That's just another setup of the same glitch, but these three items and the blue platform is everything you need. One final thing, on the bottom below this muncher there has to be some sort of semi-solid ground. It will not work with completely solid ground. So once I start the level and run towards the setup from any side, you can see that this launcher is now floating above the muncher for some reason. And the thing is, the height in which the launcher floats above the muncher is actually the height of this launcher right here. So if I make another setup and make the top launcher one block longer, then you can see that once I reach the setup, one of the cannons is floating one block higher, and that's the one where the launcher on top is also one block higher. So that's what I meant when I said you can precisely control the height in which the enemy down here is floating. So I could also place the entire setup off screen and make the launchers even longer, and that means that the other launchers will basically completely be in mid-air. But there's even more that you can do with this, because when you, for example, have a setup just like that and you have it directly next to the ground, then the launcher actually spawns inside the other launcher. And another cool thing is that when you release the blue platform, so if you jump on it, then there can be a glitch where the entire setup starts to float upwards and never comes back. And this glitch always happens if you have a setup like this, where the top launcher is at least 3 blocks long. So as you can see right here, one of the top launchers is 2 blocks long and the other 3 blocks long. And the one with the 3 blocks launcher started to float in the air and it will never come back. And the most interesting thing about all of this stuff is that this is actually a new type of global ground. So these floating enemies, once they start floating into the air, then they actually count as global ground. We can prove this with a setup that I have right here. So over there are 90 munchers and another 15 munchers in blocks. So I can spawn 10 munchers and now I'm at 100. So now the game doesn't spawn any more munchers. So if I start the level and go to the setup all the way from the beginning right here, there are now 6 enemies that will count as global ground, 2 munchers and 4 launchers. So right now I should only be able to spawn 4 of the munchers that are on the blocks right here, since we have 90 plus 6 global grounded enemies. And as you can see, that's exactly what happens. I can spawn 4 munchers and from there the game doesn't spawn anymore. And finally, I can also showcase that it's global ground because it acts just like global ground, since whatever I place on top of these floating setups will also become global ground. So right here I've placed an additional POW on top of the glitched muncher cannon things. So this time I will only be able to spawn 3. And the second one is basically just a new use case for something that I showcased previously. So in another video that I made previously, I explained a setup that does something as soon as the game lags, which is basically as soon as Mario collects or loses a power-up. So right now I'm just rebuilding this setup, and for this specific use case it triggers a P-switch once the game lags, but you can also use it to give the player a key once the game lags. It can be done in different ways. So this is the P-switch way and this is the one that I already explained. There's yet another thing where you can use this for, and that is Super Mario Bros. 1 specific, and it has to do with the costumes. Since even though the costumes are technically all the same power-up, because they all have the same abilities, you can still switch from one costume to another, which will also lag the game. And can you use this? Basically all you need is some sort of costume choice at the beginning of the level where the setup is still on screen, and then in the end you need to force the player to collect one specific costume, and that way you can also force the player to choose this costume already at the beginning of the level. So right now I force the player to choose the Luigi mushroom right here in the first part of the level. Only if I already choose the Luigi costume right here and I am already Luigi, I will not lag the game by collecting another Luigi mushroom, which means only as Luigi I can pass through this setup. And you can create a pretty interesting RNG based stage around this, since if you give this mushroom right here the property that it's really random what costume it will be. Then there's a 1 out of 160 costumes chance that it will be a Luigi costume. And that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the video.